Apparently this is truly the world's fastest shed. Welcome to Lot 76 Cars. My name's Simon and today we're at the AutoAlex Shedfest at the British Motor Museum. Let's go and have a look at some of these fabulous cars behind me and let's try and have a chat with some of the owners on the way around. So the Honda S2000 was Honda's birthday present to itself some years ago, and this one has been modified for track use. It may well have been the ex-AutoAlex car, which was a little bit rusty. I think they cut away the old front wings and put these carbon flares on them. Looking at this, they've certainly done a good job of it, haven't they? I love the Bamakaze theme to the car. Just works in yellow with those carbon arches, doesn't it? Yeah, they've done an absolutely cracking job with that one. My God, I bet it goes like stink, and obviously with all that rust they've cut out, it's probably quite a bit lighter. Now the E30 BMWs, this is a later one. It's certainly got the facelift bumpers. Looks pretty stock. Got some different alloys on there. Yeah, okay, got that. Let's have a closer look. Look what's under the bonnet. It's a Honda engine. Good Lord, I've never seen a Honda engined BMW, never mind a Honda engined E30 BMW. Wow, I'd love to know the story behind that one. If you know, stick it in the comments. So the long awaited replacement for the Jaguar XJS came in the form of the XK8. Launched I think in '95, first cars, very early cars were on a P-plate. This is not that late a car, it's a T-plated car. It's got those fabulous wheels that the early cars had, those disc wheels, which I quite like. Probably being an early car, I guess it's a 4 litre. They did move to 4.2. Underneath, a lot of the underpinnings were in fact XJS still. Now I can't promise you a guest appearance by Sebastian Loeb, sorry about that, but at least this Citroen Zara in full rallying Sebastian Loeb livery is here today representing him. Absolutely great. Somebody's gone to a massive amount of effort with that car to get that livery absolutely bang on. What a great job, guys. So either this Lexus LS 400 has had a complete suspension collapse, or it's on air suspension. I suspect the latter. Somebody has done a great job with that. The condition of this is fabulous. This was a car introduced by Lexus to take the fight to Mercedes, and wow, did they do that. These are fabulous cars, modified or unmodified. Love those curtains on the windows for a bit more privacy there. Trays in the back. Got that lovely sort of browny sable colour. Again, in superb condition, and I guess obviously when the suspension's up you wouldn't know it's been modified. Brought here by the famous Jag specialist Tom Lentil is this XJC, but in fact it's the Daimler version. It is a V12, 5.3 litre V12 manual. Yeah, you heard me right, manual. This was an incredible car, first talked about in 1973 but delayed a little bit because of these issues trying to get the rear windows, side windows rather, sealing. There was some complications in actually building the car. Thank goodness they did, because it's probably one of the prettiest. Based on the Series 2 cars, the bumpers got higher for the US market rather than the Series 1 cars. But this one is an absolute stunner, isn't it? And unusual to see it as a Daimler. So there's a huge amount of cars to show you today. We're going to try and pick out the most interesting, and many of them are very interesting. Volvo 850, or is it a later V70 Scimitar GTE? No Princess Anne references there. Mini GP. Limited edition. So this Camry's got a few miles on the clock, and it's got quite a bit of paint, extra paint on the body as well. It's been massively modified. I'm not quite sure what to make of that one. I'm genuinely lost for words, I think, in this instance. Seldom does that happen. It's certainly optimistic because it's got a huge spoiler on the back, but still proclaims it's going as fast as it can.
Right.
Josh, tell us about this car, because it's a one-off, isn't it? You've really made it your own.
Yeah, well, it was a big fingers up to the car scene, basically. I was told I wasn't allowed to modify a Camry, apart from slam it, camber it, tinted windows, basically. So I decided to put a wrap on it. Nothing else, a little bit of a kit from America, and then a wrap. Well, the funny thing about the store was, it got called a demonic Camry at one of the car shows. So I started going to town on it. As you can tell by the car, it has a Vortex body kit on. It's actually on stock suspension, but with the wheel arch covers, it makes it look a little bit lowered. Inside, basically standard. The actual outside, I've got a wrap and paint.
Okay.
And on the front, there's a homemade skull
Wow.
above the splitter.
Well, we'll cut in some pictures of that, yeah.
The air intake at the front, the scoop, actually works. I cut a hole in my bonnet, and actually where the air intake was behind the grille, it wasn't efficient. So I moved it to the centre of my bonnet and then fed it through to the box. Obviously, it's a bit of a state, but it's made this way. Unfortunately, 2 days ago, it actually got vandalised.
Oh, God.
It was touch and go whether I'd be here today.
Oh, well, well done for turning it round.
Yeah,
well done.
The wing mirror was smashed off, half my body kit was, tyres were slashed on it. So the last couple of days, it's been literally stick everything on with tape.
Well, it's all worth it. Well, thanks to God you managed to get here and managed to fix the car in time, and thanks for talking to us, Josh. Really appreciate
it. No worries.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. So these are becoming very collectible. Designed by Chris Bangle is this beautiful Sprint Blue Fiat Coupe 20 valve turbo, lightly modified. It's got the wheels on it. The wheels actually really suit it, don't they? Because in standard form they're a bit underwheeled and tired. Got that typical and very unusual styling with those splits in the side. What a great looking car. These have surely got to become more and more collectible, because I don't think we'll see their like again, will we? So Vauxhall's much needed at the time Halo car was the VX220. Now it looks familiar because it's built on the platform, I believe, of the 2nd series Lotus Elise, and I think the value to this of Lotus, it enabled them to engineer the Series 2 Lotus Elise and cover off some of the costs by building this car on the same extruded aluminium platform. Fast cars as VX220s and really quick cars as turbos. R8 Rovers are rare beasts, but R8 Rover Tourings, this is a body style that was I think unique, no shared parts with Honda. Certainly the Touring estate version was developed, I think, only for UK and European markets for Rover. Great to see one of those here. Matt Richardson on Furious Driving's got one, and I think there are sort of single-digit numbers of these left. So it's surprising how rare these cars are getting. It's a Lexus IS200. Looks like from the registration an original Lexus GB car. I certainly remember these at launch. Beautiful 6-cylinder engine, 6-speed manual or automatic gearbox. This has got the manual in there. I don't know if you can quite see it there, but it's got some really unusual dials, sort of chronograph watch style dials. Sorry, it's the car's not open, it's difficult to see that. Sold in Japan as the Altezza, quite a lot imported, and they also did a 3-litre version, the IS300, and a slightly more practical hatch stroke touring version. Great to see those, and thin on the ground now. Introduced in 1979 is this W126 Mercedes, the second generation S-Class. I think its claim to fame was that it actually was one of the first cars to offer ABS in a production format, sort of volume cars. Yeah, I know the Jensen, I think the Jensen Interceptor did have it on the FF version. Great to see this. I'm not even sure it should be here because you can hardly call it a shed. It's lovely, absolutely lovely. It's also a 500 SE as well, which is, you know, got the desirable 5-litre engine. What a lovely car. I do like that. E46 M3s, not much could catch them back in the day. This one is lightly modded. Obviously it looks like it has suspension drop, some tasteful Apex wheels on it, but in actual fact, what a lovely, lovely, lovely looking car that one is. These E46s are starting to become collectible way the E30s are, and arguably a far better drive. Who knows? So by this generation of the Fiesta, the XR nomenclature had gone and Ford were using ST. Now this particular vehicle is an ST. It's never officially called the ST 150, although everybody does. 150 brake horsepower, quite a lovely interior on this one. This red example. The stripes must have been an option because I've seen cars with and without the stripes on the bottom flanks of the car. Again, these must be tipped as a fast Ford of the future. Gotta be. So another S-Class. This time it's the SEC, so the coupe version of the S-Class. Very, very pretty cars, pillarless coupe. Apparently the designer Bruno Sacco, it's his favourite design, and still to this day one of these is apparently in his garage. I mean, this car, you've got to see it from all angles because it's actually really pretty, from its pillarless side view, that long flowing coupe body, big old boot in there, practical, got plenty of space. What a fabulous Gantura, and this in range topping, or almost range topping, 560, 5.6 litre format. I bet that still goes a bit, doesn't it? We've got a massively eclectic mix of cars here. So here's, we've got a Triumph Dolomite Sprint, born back in 1973, so celebrating an incredible 50 years. Got the very innovative 16 valve head. The work for this was done by Coventry Climax on behalf of British Leyland. This was a quick car, massively successful in touring car racing as well, and only now being appreciated for what it is, which is certainly got to be up there with the Escort Mexicos. A quick car, but understated. So if your favourite shape is a square, you're in for a treat here. It's a Nissan Cube. They were officially imported for a limited period of time by Nissan GB. Of course, the styling is standout. I mean, I guess you can easily work out for parking where all the corners are, because it's nothing but corners. But what a fabulously usable and unusual looking vehicle it is. This one is the four-wheel drive version, so I guess this one could well be an import. Interesting. So the Porsche 914 or 916 was a flat 6 or flat 4 engined vehicle developed as a collaboration between Volkswagen and Porsche. Only came as a Targa top like this one. We'll take a closer look. So you can see sort of full Beetle style. You've got the storage and the spare wheel. Looks like the tank there in the front as well. Fabulous Targa interior. Oh, reasonable amount of space in there. That flat dash. Great on a day like today where the sun is thinking about coming out. Storage space for the Targa in the back. That's handy, isn't it? And then obviously access to the engine, I guess, just underneath that. You can just see the battery and some of the ancillaries. Don't see too many of these about. I don't think ever officially sold in right-hand drive, so it's got to be an import. Lots of them sold in the States. So there you have it. Porsche 914 or VW, depending which you fancy. From a time when Honda were really on it in the UK is the Honda Prelude. Honda were still A bit niche at this stage, but becoming more mainstream. A full 4-seater coupe. This one's an auto. Not sure if it's a Japanese import or not. It's in lovely, lovely condition. And what happened to the coupe market? Where did all the coupes go, eh? So this is a 2.2 VTI. I guess that's the VTEC engine, so I guess it shifts a bit as well. Lovely car. So Auto Sportiva's brought a few vehicles here today. We've got this fabulously useful Sportswagen GTA version of the 156. Incredibly useful, incredibly quick. So a very cheeky looking manga themed 200SX, or I guess Sylvia, because we didn't get this one. So this was bought by the Auto Sportiva guys just yesterday. They're going to restore it on the channel. It's I think had one owner from new. Mechanically absolutely sound, apparently. Needs a bit of attention on the bodywork, but they're going to get this shed back to pristine condition. Well, it's certainly got potential, hasn't it? A lot of potential. I think this is called Jello Fly or something like the colour. It's a Lancia Delta HF Turbo Integrale Evo 1. That's a mouthful, isn't it? From 1992. Fabulous, incredible cars. I drove the Integrale HF Turbo, but not the Evo 1. Check out the video on the channel for that. Last year, and honestly, it's one of the most impressive cars I've ever had the chance to drive. That's a beauty, isn't it? Taxi for lot 76 cars. Oh, hang on. I think this might be, really might be a fake taxi. Oh yeah.
You know, it's got red overspray.
Somebody's nicked the back. Won't be picking up too many fares with that one, will they? Well, that's what a naked taxi really looks like, in case you're interested. Mark 1 Audi TTs like this one are becoming rarer and rarer, particularly in this special colour here. It's not a Merlin purple because it's a slightly different shade. Looks like it's an original but designer colour. These were translated from concept car to production car with little changes. As you recall, the spoiler was added later for stability issues. Early cars, few might have escaped, don't have that rear spoiler. These are great cars, to be honest with you. They're quick. This looks like it's a twin exhaust. It's the 225 car, and that paint colour, love it or loathe it, I love it. It's makes it really unusual. Clearly Mini influenced is this K car, and it's a Daihatsu Mira. I'm not sure if it's a Japanese import or not, because Daihatsu stopped selling cars some time ago in Europe. But yeah, you can certainly see that where they drew their influence for with this car, can't you? So it's, although it's at K-car dimensions allegedly, it actually looks a fair bit bigger than K-car to me, but it just shows how deceiving they are. Yeah, even from the back, it's definitely got a Mini vibe to it, hasn't it? Well, it's pretty unusual to see a first generation Vauxhall Tigra, but certainly one in this condition, this Star Silver. Not sure if that's the official Vauxhall name for the colour. Full 4-seaters. Pretty much had the market to itself at the beginning, and then it got quite crowded with a number of other competitors like Ford's Puma being launched and replaced. I think it was a folding hardtop was the successor, but yeah, that one's in lovely condition, isn't it? So pretty much this had the legs taken from underneath it a little bit with the launch of the Mark 1 Lotus Elise, but it shouldn't take away from the car. What a very brave step it was for a large volume manufacturer like Renault to launch the Sport Spider. I think it was a sort of out of office project with Patrick Lequemont and his design team at Renault. Incredible to see them here today. Many of these, I think in some markets, were supplied without the windscreen. I can imagine that being a bit of a challenge. Very little in the way of weather protection. And well, things are definitely on the up. Now help me find some space on this Suzuki for some more stickers. Oh, hang on, that might be a challenge. We might be here a while. It's accepting McDonald's table service, in case you're interested. And there is a bit of space on the roof. I must point that out to the owner if I see them. But apart from that, that is it. Wow, that's something else, isn't it? Tall, and some would say handsome, is the K11 Micra. Quite a tall car for the generation of cars it was in, competing with the Fiesta, I think probably Mark III. In actual fact, these were the 16 valve engines that were pretty good to drive. Many people learned to drive in them, and now they're getting pretty thin on the ground. Sporting original Vauxhall plates by the look of it is this Astra Mark III. These are not seen. They were pretty much street furniture not so many years ago, but to actually see one today, particularly in this gold shade of gold, I'm not sure what version it is, to be honest with you, GLS or something like this. So shout out to Once Driven Forever Smitten, who is an absolute expert on these. Check out his channel as well. So sold as VW City Car, as the Lupo, and also sold as, they say it, a Rosa. I bet nobody remembers that one, maybe that's just me. Is this 1.4 Lupo, fabulous car. These, certainly in GTI trim, absolutely revered, being very close to the concept of the original Golf GTI. Rare, far better than the absolute nail of a car, the Fox that replaced it. I think something that was built in Brazil, and not really a patch on this. So this is a rare one, isn't it? A Mark I Mazda RX-7, rotary engined. I think the official CC is only something like about 1.3, because obviously it's a rotary engine and the measurements different. Echoes of Porsche 954 of the time. Fabulous interior. I don't know if you can pick that out. Hopefully not too many reflections there. Pop-up lights, not sold in huge numbers in the UK, but nevertheless an absolutely lovely and pretty rare car these days. Good turnout by the MX-5 Owners Club here today, with about every generation on display and quite a few of the special editions, and there were many of them. It's a great club, the MX-5 Owners Club. I was a member many years ago when I had a few MX-5s on the trot, so take a look. So this looks like it's not the Fabric, but it's the later Felicia, because I got that wrong once and somebody pointed it out in the comments, and I'll never live it down. So I'm pretty sure it's a Felicia, built during the ownership, or the early ownership, of Volkswagen. This one's had a bit of a paint job. You can't really pick up the fact it's got this metal flake paint, although it looks solid from here. And of course you can't really miss those pink wheels, can you? I'm not sure what the emergency is that demands an amber light on the top, but this is the E39 BMW, absolute high watermark for BMW. Great handling cars. Big step up from the E34. This one belongs to TaylorMade Cars by the look of it, so closely associated with the AutoAlex channel. So great to see that here today. It looks like it's an SE trim. Lovely. Vauxhall Opel were desperate to develop an estate version of the Mark II Cavalier, so they looked to their colleagues in Holden in Australia to supply them with kits that they used for their version of the Cavalier down in Australia, and thus was born this estate version of the Cavalier Mark II. Not particularly as successful as the hatch or the saloon, quite expensive because the kits came all the way from Australia, but nevertheless a rare one here today to see that. That's great. Just when you think manufacturers have got every niche covered in the market, somebody comes up with something different. I bet they never thought of this. Yes, it's an off-road Toyota Supra. Look at the ground clearance on it. That's incredible. It looks like it's packing quite a turbo in there. We've got the off-road lights, so we can go where nobody else would, and we've still got the whale tail spoiler. Well, that's something else, isn't it? Ford was stung at the 1990 launch of the Escort by the reaction from the press. They spent £1 billion engineering this, but the very, very early cars were extremely disappointing. By this stage, they'd refined the cars and actually turned them into something they should have been all along. Far better, better handling and ride quality. Resplendent in its burgundy paint finish and in luxurious 1.1L form, with some pepper pot alloys from an XR2, is this lovely Fiesta Mark II. I think this was the second generation Punto, and this is a Punto Sporting. That must be a reasonably rare beast these days. Looks lovely. Condition of that one, I'm sure if it comes up on camera, is absolutely mint. Well, I haven't seen too many of the early RAV4s like this one. This is a second generation car, but still from some time ago. It looks like a suspension drop. RAV4 being recreational activity vehicle four-wheel drive, although they all weren't four-wheel drive. The three-door version, or two-door, depending which way you're coming at it from, is particularly rare. And as I say, I haven't seen them. They were quite a sporty drive, actually. Now this is true shed territory, but it's a lovely car. It's a Toyota Paseo, built and sold in limited numbers, certainly in the UK. I think sold more in the US. The owner paid £1,000 for this. Well, honestly, I think he got superb value for money, don't you? It's in absolutely fabulous condition. Some work to do to it still, but honestly, a lot of these have faded away and there weren't many sold to start with. Built in the US and intended by BMW to get some action in the roadster segment and compete with the MX-5 or Mojito in the US, is this US built BMW Z3. This one's lovely. I think that might even be Oxford green, but what a lovely contrasting hood that one's got. These are surely tipped for the top. Looks like the later wide-bodied one. Yes it is, and it's the 2.8 6-cylinder. Yeah, that's probably the one to have. Contemporary road test reports of this second series Vauxhall Vectra were very, very flattering, particularly in terms of this VXR form. A real step up for Vauxhall in terms of quality, and a very solid car, good riding car apparently by all accounts. Really, you just don't see too many of these, and we're talking about a car that's not actually that old now. It's only from, in this case, from 2004, isn't it? Wow. Now, I'm not sure about the registration, but this owner of this car has really taken modification to the next level. He hasn't just gone to Halfords and filled his basket. My God, he's done a proper job with this one, hasn't he? Look at the wheels on this A4. Some lovely detail features. Let's take a look at the inside, that quilted leather trim. There's a black rose on the dashboard as well. We've got the curtains. There are so many things that catch the eye. I'll have to watch my own video back to make sure I don't actually miss anything. What a proper job they've done. It's even got a colour-coded roof box as well. And wow, just absolutely wow. So do you know what this is? Well, I'll be honest here, my back catalogue let me down. It's a Kia Claris from I think 2001. So this is a Mitsubishi Colt hatch built at the Nedcar plant in the Netherlands for Europe, and this one is the turbo version. Now I actually had one of these as a company car for about a year. That somebody put a tuning pack on, and my goodness, was that a handful, all that power going through the front wheels. Pretty rare to see these now. I think they were only sold in turbo form as a three-door car, but nevertheless great to see it here, and this one's in good nick as well. Ironically, just a few cars down is this Smart 4.4, and also built at the Nedcar plant because it shared the same platform with the Colt through a cooperation that the two companies had. This looks like it's a Brabus version, so it's a little bit quicker. Got a similar interior, and again, it is unusual to see these, but obviously if you compare them side by side, you can see that they are very closely related, although you wouldn't think so. So this is a Volvo V70R. not just the T5. And what's unusual with this is it's in metallic saffron. This colour is, believe it or not, highly prized. I like it, not everybody does, I'm sure, but it does look an absolute treat, doesn't it? I know the owner's got designs on adding a few more to his collection, but this one certainly stands out, doesn't it? Making a special guest appearance in this mean green Puma ST is no less than Kermit. I make no apologies for showing another 200 SX, not when it's as nice and standard as this car. I think this car had the touring package on it. I think the touring package consisted of leather and the rear spoiler from memory. I just do not know the colour. Mine was a green one. This looks like it's a 98 on an R. I think mine was a 99 or 2000. It was a T-plater. Oh, I really like this car. This is one of those cars I wish I still had it, because the chance of finding another one in stock condition is very, very limited. Now, with four-wheel drive, I don't think you're going to see another one of these Toyota Caldinas. Yeah, Caldinas, I had to check that one out. Turbocharged. That must be quite a handful, and absolutely, totally unique here today at AutoAlex Shedfest, definitely. Launched, I think, in the mid-90s was the Ford car, the original design, not the one that was shared with Fiat. And this is a great little car. Handling apparently was good. I think they came with things like it didn't even have a proper glove box, like more of a shelf there. This one has got leather trim, so I guess it's a luxury version of some kind.
Come look at the interior on this.
That's incredible, isn't it? It's in great condition, original dealer sticker in the back. Beautiful. Another show, another Proton, it seems. There's not many left, but I've found quite a few recently. Check out John Coupland's channel. He's got a channel sort of pretty much dedicated to Protons, but based on a Mitsubishi design, originally with I think an 8-valve engine, then a 12-valve engine, and sold in big numbers in the very early days. Sadly, the brand doesn't exist anymore in the UK, but great to see it here. So somebody's bought a full house American Crown Victoria police car. So dedicated and sworn to service, and says call 911. Well, you might get more response if you call 911. Give it a try. Really unusual to see this here. The Crown Vics are rare cars in the UK. Furious Driving's got one on his channel. This one may well have been on another YouTube channel. There can't be too many Crown Victoria police cars, can there? But there you go. So I've also driven one of these on the channel, albeit a later car. It's a W124, C124 to be correct, coupe. Pillarless coupe by Mercedes-Benz. I think launched in, from memory, the late 90s. Great to see that here today for Mercedes fans. So this is a relatively modern car. It's what, 2010, I think, looking at the plate, by Renault. Renault must have struggled a bit with the translation on this one, because when they launched this superb folding top little roadster, they decided to call it the Renault Wind. So in CD trim is this Astra. I think it's the Mark IV Astra. I'll put that on screen. I can't remember that one. Thoroughly engineered car, this one. Massive step forward in terms of quality for Vauxhall. A little bit frumpy on the styling, allegedly. This one's only got relatively low mileage. The owner's invited me to have a look at it inside. You start to see soft touch dash appearing for the first time. It's got, in this trim, it's got a CD player. It's got the wooden inserts there. It looks a thoroughly comfortable car. It's a 16-valve 1.6 engine. The owner bought it as a stopgap, but in actual fact, he likes it that much he's hung on to it. So I think he's got a little gem here. Not a classic yet, but can't be far off, because how many of these do you see left? Not many. So I think we've found the 1980s/90s executive parking. We've found a W124 chassis Mercedes predecessor, eventually called the E-Class in very, very late days, but initially not badged as E-Class. And next to it, we've got this lovely E34 BMW pre-facelift car. I think because it's a H-plater, my dad had one of this. It's the Vanos engine, the multi-valve engines, which were much more powerful. It's a 520i, so it's I think it's an inline 6-cylinder, quite a smooth car. I think my dad had a 525 which really flew, and the Mercedes, looking back at that one, that's a 230. Great. So I followed this one in part of the way, and it's another E34, but what makes this unusual, it's the far rarer touring model. It's got the characteristic split tailgate, so you can just open the window, which is a really not totally unique but unusual feature. And these are pretty rare in touring format. It's a 520, I guess it's a Vanos car with the 24 valve head, and I think it's in Oxford green with those lovely cross-spoke wheels that they had, cloth trim inside, and oh, it's a manual as well. That's quite a desirable car to have, I would have thought. That's beautiful.
I think the springs are a bit more tied up for the market.
A massively diverse collection of cars at Shedfest. Honda Civic from what, 94? E34 BMW, looks like it's a 95 facelifted car with a wider kidney grille. We've got a Scimitar GTE, I think this is probably an SEA. You can have a cheeky look inside that one because that's open. That's in good order, isn't it, really? I love those seats with the, look at the buttons on the seats there, like a 70s furniture showroom. We've got a later 7 Series BMW there as well. Yeah, there's pretty much something for everybody here today. This is lovely. This is a Toyota KP31000 from 1975. Wow, I can't recall seeing one of these. They were imported into the UK back in the day, but in very limited numbers due to the gentleman's agreement on imports with the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. Unusual to see here. It's actually a right-hand drive car, so if it isn't a UK car, it must be a South Africa or an Irish car. Yeah, very unusual to see that. So here's the so-called bread van versions of the VW Polo. Early cars didn't come with a brake servo, and I know that because I drove one, and they didn't give an awful lot of confidence when you were stopping. You would stop eventually. So we've got, these are both later cars. One looks like a 90, maybe a 91 or a 1992 car. Great to see them here today. One looks pretty stock, the other one's lightly modded. But again, one of those cars that were street furniture not so long ago. And what we've got here is a lovely choice of estate cars. On the left we've got a Volvo 850 estate. What a shame that Volvo have discontinued sale of new estate cars in the UK. Surely a mistake. All of us have probably ridden in a Volvo estate car. These 850s with side impact protection, incredibly safe cars, loved by the police force. Or alternatively, if you fancy going down the German routes, you can have yourself an E46 Touring. The choice is yours. Sporting the twin headlamps that I think came with the higher powered versions, this is the 3 Series. It's the E21 series, loving that very sharp shark nose front of the car. It's got, I think, some period BBS multi-spoke alloys on it. I'm not sure if these were originally fitted to that one or from a later car. It's absolutely stunning in that lovely gold condition. Manual with a cloth interior. Looks to be in absolutely stunning order, doesn't it? I do like the colour so of its time, that sort of panel that they have, the plastic panel across the back, that strip there between the lights, so typical of the look of E21s. Very nice. So we all like a Vauxhall Nova, and we love those blistered wheel arches that only came with the 3-door. But what do you do if you've got a 5-door one? You need the practicality. Well, you know what? You stick on your own wheel arches, don't you? That's the solution. Fabulous to see those Novas here today. Next to it, a Seat Leon. Remember these? These were the hot hatch of the moment. 20 valve engine. They were super quick. But when did you see the last one? Fabulously stripped to the bone, and this version was sold in the UK for a brief period. It's the Honda Integra Type R. You rarely see these days. They are very thin on the ground. I think they were only supplied in this championship white, which is the Honda colour that came from the Grand Prix team, and got that typical spoiler. Yeah, it can only be a Honda Type R Integra. Unmistakable, isn't it? E28 BMWs don't come much nicer than this one, complete from its Alpina style wheels to those wipers on the lights. Those were the days, eh? It's what, sort of 87, 88, so pretty late on the cusp of the E34's launch, isn't it, really? That sort of Hofmeister kink that's so cool that they put in the back window there, that was reminiscent of many BMWs that followed. Yeah, this one in Alpine White, I guess, is a very nice example, isn't it? There's a lot of BMWs here at AutoAlex today, and Alex Kersten himself is in fact bought a couple of these, one for him, one for Taylor, and it's quite a desirable E30 Touring. There's not a massive amount of space in the back of these because the rear lights do cut into the tailgate, but nevertheless this is a lovely looking car, and certainly a little bit more useful than the standard E30s, I think. So yes, it's a Citroen ZX, but when did you actually last see a Citroen ZX estate car? Yeah, no kidding. It's a 1.9 diesel, non-turbocharged Citroen ZX diesel, probably one of the rarest cars here today, I reckon. What do you think? So this is Phil, AutoAlex's MX-5 with a Rocketeer conversion, which uses a V6 X-Type Jag engine. Fabulous to see that here today. Huge crowd of people around the car, and despite the butchery that Alex undertook with the bonnet, cutting those vents in, it survived pretty well. I know he absolutely loves this car, and I can certainly understand why. It's a absolute track weapon. So here's the AutoAlex Transit. It's been polished up nicely, but we've not got rid of all that rust yet. There you go, eh? The most famous Transit here today, isn't it? So no unique touches there. Love the wheels. Might have been a tad better spending a bit more on getting rid of the rust, but never mind, it looks great, doesn't it? And it almost matches Phil, his MX-5. So here's Taylor's Mini Cooper S. I think it had an engine transplant just before its lap around the Nürburgring. It failed at 140 miles an hour. So that's where Taylor was sitting when it absolutely threw its toys out of the pram. Good to see this R53 Minis. To me, the R53s is probably the optimum one. Supercharged engine to start with, and this one's in particularly good order, and a lot better now. It's got a new engine. So this is Jimmy Jag to be precise, and it's had its XJR supercharged engine mated up to a manual gearbox this time to unleash the power that it always promised. None of those losses through the torque converter. So this has been on Alex's channel, bought at auction I think for about £4,000, got a custom made exhaust on it, and it's looking resplendent. And this is a Land Rover Discovery 3 from 2005, affectionately known as Big Pete, fitted with the 2.7 litre TD V6 engine. And this is the backbone of the channel. It's their tow car, seen in quite a few episodes, well loved and well used by the team. I think they use it for tracking shots of cars as well. Just perfect for that, isn't it? So if you're looking for the hospitality day, here we have it. We've got Greg's Finest, JM, Love AutoAlex, the Ultra Deluxe VIP parking area at Shedfest. Well, there you have it. Fabulous. And a very nice Maserati as well. Now this is a proper shed. This is somebody who's made the real big effort to come to this event with their own shed. Yes, it's an Audi powered mobile shed. Wow. Let's have a look inside, shall we? No shortage of storage space in the back. A motorbike, in case you need one, as you might do if you've only got a shed. Yeah, that's something else. That's the world's fastest shed. Well, I'm not going to put that to the test, but there you go. So thanks again for watching Lot 76 cars from the AutoAlex Shedfest at the British Motor Museum. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications so as not to miss the next video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.